If you've been feeling trapped by heart anxiety, what's often called cardiophobia, then this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna walk you through what heart anxiety is, how it develops, why it feels so overwhelming, and most importantly, how to regain control of your life. I know exactly how hard this can be. I've been there myself. The constant fear, the overwhelming symptoms, the frustration of not being able to find answers. It can feel like you're stuck in an endless loop. But trust me, there is a way forward, so take a deep breath. Put this video on full screen, and let's get started. What is heart anxiety? Let's start with what heart anxiety actually is, because understanding it is the first step towards overcoming it. Heart anxiety, or cardiophobia, is a type of health anxiety where your focus is entirely on your heart. It is a constant, all-consuming fear that something is wrong with your heart, even when medical tests say otherwise. It usually starts with a single moment, a symptom or sensation that feels off. Maybe your heart races unexpectedly, skips a beat, or feels like it's pounding out of your chest. It's scary. And in that moment, your mind leaps to the worst case scenario. What if I'm having a heart attack? What if something is seriously wrong? That fear grabs a hold of you and it doesn't let go. You start monitoring your body constantly, paying attention to every little flutter, every beat, every ache in your chest. And over time, that hypervigilance becomes a habit that controls your life. Here's where things get even harder. This worry, it doesn't stay contained to your heart alone. It starts seeping into every part of your life. You might feel like you've lost your ability to focus on the present moment because your mind is always racing with the what-if scenarios. And over time, this constant fear can leave you feeling like a shell of who you used to be. You carry this anxiety with you 24/7, and after long enough, you might look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. The person who used to feel confident, independent, and free now feels trapped and overwhelmed. The symptoms. Now let's talk about the symptoms, because they're not just scary, they're incredibly disruptive. Heart anxiety doesn't just make you feel scared. It creates physical sensations that can feel overwhelming. These include heart palpitations, chest tightness, dizziness, shortness of breath, and even pain in your left arm or jaw. But it doesn't stop there. Over time, your body becomes hypersensitive. You feel every little change, every little sensation, a slight flutter in your chest, a moment of breathlessness. It's enough to send your anxiety spiraling. Because of this hypersensitivity, it's easy to get triggered. Loud noises, physical exertion, even certain thoughts can send your body into fight or flight mode. And when that happens, it's like your entire system is on high alert. It's stuck in a cycle of fear and tension. How it begins. For most people, heart anxiety doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's often triggered by a perfect storm of events. Think back. Were you going through a particularly stressful time when your symptoms first appeared? Maybe you were juggling too much at work, dealing with family issues, or recovering from an illness. Stress builds up in the body, often without us even realizing it, until something triggers it, a panic attack, a sudden spike in your heart rate, or even a random moment of dizziness. And when that first symptom hits, it's terrifying. You might find yourself in the ER, convinced something is seriously happening. The doctors run tests and everything comes back fine, but instead of feeling relief, you feel confused. Like, if nothing's wrong, then why do I feel this way? Well, when you're experiencing something stressful, whether it's a panic attack, an illness, or even a buildup of daily stress, your body activates in its fight or flight response. This is an ancient survival mechanism designed to protect you from danger by releasing stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. But here's the problem. When there is no real danger, no lion chasing you or an immediate threat, your body doesn't know how to turn off the response. Instead, it starts interpreting your symptoms as the danger. So your racing heart, your tight chest, these become the enemy. This creates a downward spiral. So every time you notice a sensation, it reinforces the fear. That triggers more symptoms, which triggers more fear, and then the cycle keeps repeating. Over time, this anxiety starts to take over your life. You stop exercising because you're afraid that raising your heart rate could trigger something catastrophic. Social situations become overwhelming, so you avoid them altogether. Your driving feels terrifying. You're constantly worried that something might happen while you're on the road, and you won't be able to get help. Even the smallest activities like walking up the stairs or drinking coffee, it can feel like risks, and your world gets smaller and smaller, and the fear gets bigger. The impact on relationships. Heart anxiety doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you. At work, you might feel like you can't focus or perform at your best because your mind always is preoccupied with your symptoms. This can create tension with colleagues or even make you question your abilities. At home, the strain can even be greater. Your loved ones might not understand what you're going through. They might tell you just to calm down or stop worrying, which only just makes you feel more isolated. Your significant other might feel frustrated or helpless, not knowing how to support you. If you have kids, you might feel guilty for not being as present or as active as you want to be. Over time, these relationships can start to feel strained, which adds another layer of stress to an already overwhelming situation. The emotional toll. Heart anxiety isn't just physically exhausting, it's emotionally draining. There's the constant fear, of course, but there's also frustration. Why can't I just over this? Why can't I just trust the doctors? There's guilt. Am I being overdramatic? What if I'm burdening my family with my worries? There's loneliness. No one seems to understand what I'm going through. They all just think it's on my head. And then there's shame. I used to be so independent, and now I'm scared to leave the house. All of these emotions feed into the cycle, making it even harder to break free. The search for answers. When the fear and symptoms don't go away, most people begin searching for answers. You might go to your doctor, hoping for clarity, but there's a frustration part. More often than not, the doctor will run tests, tell you everything looks fine, and label it just anxiety. You leave with prescriptions for medication, but no real answers. And instead of feeling reassured, you feel dismissed. You start to think, if it's just anxiety, why do I feel this way? Why do the symptoms feel so real? This leads you to seek out second opinions or even go to the internet. Hours spent Googling the symptoms, reading the worst case scenarios, and trying to piece together what's happening. Feels like you're chasing clarity, but the more you search, the more confused and overwhelmed you become. Coming to realizations and truths. Before we talk about breaking the cycle, we need to talk about understanding the truths behind heart anxiety. The first step is understanding the science. These symptoms, the racing heart, the tight chest, the dizziness, they're your body's natural response to stress. They don't mean your heart is failing. They mean that your body is trying to protect you, even if it doesn't feel like it. So once you understand this, you can start to look inward. This is where an internal analysis comes in. Ask yourself, what patterns of thought are keeping me stuck? Am I catastrophizing every little sensation? Do I believe I'm fragile or incapable? Then look outward. Do an external analysis of your environment. Are there habits or routines that are reinforcing this fear? Am I avoiding certain activities out of fear? Are there people or situations in my life that are adding to my stress? Breaking the cycle. Now, let's talk about breaking the cycle and taking back control. Start with your internal dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters. Replace fearful thoughts like, I'm safe, with empowering ones like, this is uncomfortable, but I can handle it. Next, start tackling your external environment. Take small, manageable steps. Go for short walks to prove to yourself that your body is capable. Gradually reintroduce activities you've been avoiding, like socializing or driving. Focus on habits that build confidence, like eating nutritious meals, practicing deep breathing, or doing light exercise. Each small win builds momentum, and over time, you'll notice your confidence growing and your fear shrinking. My message to you. I want you to know this. You're not alone, and you are not broken. Heart anxiety is something many people struggle with, but recovery is possible. If this video resonated with you, don't stop here. Watch more of our content, learn more about what you're experiencing. And if you're ready, reach out to us. Let's work together to help you take back control of your life. I want you to hear this loud and clear. What you're feeling right now is not permanent. This anxiety, these symptoms, this overwhelming fear, they are not a life sentence. There is a way out, and there is a solution. I know it's hard to believe when you're in the thick of it. I know what it's like to feel hopeless. To feel like no one understands, to feel like this will never end. I'm here to tell you that it can end, and you don't have to live like this forever. Heart anxiety might feel all-consuming right now, but it's something that you can overcome. You're not broken. Your body is not failing you. What you're experiencing is your body's response to fear and stress. And once you understand that, once you learn how to work with your body, not against it, you can take back control of your life. And here's the best part. You don't have to figure this out alone. There are tools, strategies, and a step-by-step path forward that will help guide you out of the cycle. We've worked with people who feel just like you do now, people who thought there was no way out. And we've seen them rebuild their confidence, regain control, and live full, vibrant lives again. If they can do it, you can too. You've already taken the first step in watching this video. You're searching for answers. And that shows your strength and your determination. So don't stop there. Keep learning. Keep taking those small steps forward. And if you're ready to take the next step, we're here to help.